Hi, I'm Brian, and I'm going to build a 38-foot sailboat. But because I know that's going to take 4 or 5 years to do, I am fixing up my existing Thunderbird boat that I have now. There's a number of little things that I have to do to it just to get it ship shape again. It's a 1980s build, and it has over the years not really been neglected, but hasn't been shown a whole lot of love. So I'm going to give it a little bit of love this year to bring it back to a state that I'm happy with. So in this episode, we're going to focus mostly on the Thunderbird, and we are going to end up removing the vinyl strips that were around the side so I can get ready to fair it up. We do have to wash the boat. It had been outside for all of last summer since I was living in it, and it got a lot of dirt and pine needles and everything else on it, so time to clean it up really well. I get around to removing the last couple of pieces of trim on the boat, and I start to cut out my window openings. I'm making them a little bit bigger and going to remount the windows on the outside of the boat, and I explain that further in the episode. And one of the big things I found out was that at some point in time the boat was rammed, and there has been some significant damage done to one point of the boat, which I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time fixing up. So that's going to be a big one. And the last thing that we get around to is we finally start sanding the boat so I can look it over, fair it up, and get ready to repaint it on the top side. My dad out here again sorting some more lead, so I got another 3 buckets worth, so he's there. That'll give me about another 120 pounds worth of lead. We're working here on my Thunderbird. I have one last thing to take off, this 2 blue stripes here, so that I can refair this and paint it. So as you can see, I've got a start on it, but slow going, fun peeling. It's a warmer day today than when I had started yesterday, so hopefully that will make it easier. So here we are, just getting ready to put some water in my bucket here so I can wash the boat. Needs to get it nice and clean so that we'll be able to sand it down and get ready to paint it. Add a little bit of soap. And we're good to go. So I get to take the bungs out of the companionway. So I'm up here on my Thunderbird. I do want to put it back into the water this year, so I'll be able to sail. And there's a number of different little jobs that I need to do to it to bring it back to a point that I would feel comfortable using it. So one of the jobs that I had to do was replace the windows that were here. They were starting to crack due to age, plus they had a wood casing on the outside and it was starting to leak. And to take that wood casing apart, you pretty much had to rip it off because it was epoxy sealed to the existing boat. So to get this all prepped up for my new windows, I'm going to have to sand down all of this wood to make this a flat surface again. I'm going to cut out this piece right here that's sticking up. The reason being is I'm going to mount my window right on the outside of this. So that's going to give me about 2 extra inches of light on my boat. And then I got to make sure it's all fair and ready to go for when I get the glass. So a 2 or 3 step process to get it ready. So now, since I have it sanded down and I cut that 1-inch piece out of here, I'm going to just take a sander and just sand this a little bit. I don't need it perfect, but I am going to have to seal it so that no water will get in and paint it up. So I'm sure I'll be fairing it and making it look nice, but this is just more or less to get these cut marks out of the corners, just so it's half decently smooth. I found out that my boat had been rammed in the past, and the reason I found that out, if you look here, this side, it's nice, it's filleted right up, and it's even with the deck to the hull. Now we're going to hop over to the other side and have a look there. So a couple of years back, I had noticed some cracking along here. This was under a piece of metal, so it was very hard to see. So I took it apart, and I actually had done some of the filleting, but looking back further, I can see that the hull itself is out further than the deck itself. So as I was cleaning this up, I came, I know it's a little hard to see, and hit this spot where they have a patch here, and they've done a patch on here, right where roughly the chain plate is, and I highly suspect that either it was rammed or the chain plate pulled out, which I would imagine would be a really hard thing, considering there's 3 big bolts through there and there's a big bulkhead inside. So I suspect it got hit here, and I know these Thunderbirds were used for racing quite a bit, and some of the racers that race around here, if you're in the wrong, they won't move to get out of your way. So I half suspect that happened, and you can see that they put this piece of plywood in and it's just lined right up. They didn't bother to fiberglass over the edge, and they didn't fiberglass this piece, so I started to have cracks along these, which would allow water in. So I'm gonna have to do some extra work to this area to fix it up. So to do the fairing of the Thunderbird and also my 38-foot sailboat, I had noticed Mads off of Sail Life had got some of these flexi sanders, and I was very impressed with his use of them. So I decided to purchase them, which is going to allow me to fair the boat. Basically what they are is a flat sander, but they are also able to curve to match the size and shape of the hull, which will allow it to be faired a little bit easier. And they do have a number of sanders. Here's the biggest one, and you can see it has vacuum extraction on it, so it's going to minimize the amount of dust that's produced. So I've already started to use them on my Thunderbird, and yes, I was very impressed with them also. So using that fairing sander, what it's doing is it's knocking down the high spots and showing me where the low spots are. So there's a low spot here, and what that enables me to do is make the decision if I want to fill these low spots so that it's totally fair, or can I live with that slightly lower spot there, which for the most part I probably will live with it, but if it's in the hull itself I might end up filling it. If you enjoyed these videos, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment.